Commander Zara Chen stood before the Galactic Council's memorial wall, her fingers tracing the names of species that no longer existed. The irony wasn't lost on her. She was the only human representative left to witness this moment, and yet, humanity had outlasted them all. The Vorthak had been the first to mock them. "Your compassion will be your downfall," High Warlord Thex had sneered during humanity's initial application to join the Galactic Alliance 3 centuries ago. "You waste resources on the weak, the sick, the useless. Natural selection demands strength." The council chambers had erupted in chittering laughter from the assembled delegates. The crystalline Nexari had chimed their agreement, their translucent forms pulsing with amusement. The insectoid Kethvor had clicked their mandibles in what passed for their version of mockery. Even the plant-like Sylvani had rustled their leaves, dismissively. "Look at their military doctrine," Ambassador Crix of the Hegemony had pointed out, his forearms gesturing at the holographic displays. "They have protocols for rescuing enemy wounded. They evacuate civilians before destroying. Strategic targets, they negotiate with terrorists instead of simply eliminating them. The humans had been granted membership, but only as a curiosity, a species so fundamentally flawed that they might provide entertainment value. The galactic community had watched with fascination as humanity continued to display what they considered evolutionary mistakes. When the plague struck the Outer Rim colonies, humanity was the first to respond. While other species calculated the cost-benefit analysis of intervention, human medical ships were already burning through hyperspace. Dr. Sarah Martinez had died on Kepler 438b, working for 72 hours straight to develop a treatment for a Nexari strain of hemorrhagic fever that was decimating the crystal being's offspring. "Foolish," the survivors had said. She died for children that weren't even her own species. When the Kethvor homeworld faced ecological collapse, human terraforming experts had volunteered immediately. They'd worked for decades, turning toxic wastelands back into habitable zones, asking for nothing in return except the knowledge that billions of sentient beings would survive. Wasteful, the Galactic Council had concluded. Resources spent on a dying world when they could have simply been relocated. The pattern continued for centuries. Humans rushed to disaster zones, established refugee camps, shared technology freely, and refused to abandon allies even when retreat was the logical choice. The galaxy watched and laughed at their supposed weakness. Then the Devourers came. The first signs were subtle. Entire systems going dark at the galaxy's edge. When the reconnaissance fleets finally made contact, they found something that defied all previous understanding of warfare. The Devourers weren't just conquerors, they were extinction incarnate. They consumed everything, every resource, every trace of civilization, every living being. They left nothing but empty space in their wake. The Vorthak, with their emphasis on individual strength, fell within months. Their warriors were mighty, but they had no concept of true cooperation. When their front lines broke, they retreated to save themselves, abandoning entire worlds to their fate. The Nexari tried to negotiate, offering tribute and submission. The Devourers absorbed their offerings and kept coming. The crystal being's perfect logic couldn't comprehend an enemy that sought nothing but total annihilation. The Kethvor attempted to hide in their underground hives, but the Devourers dug them out with mechanical precision. The plant-like Sylvani tried to blend into their forest worlds, only to watch helplessly as their entire biosphere was stripped away. One by one, the species that had mocked humanity's compassion were consumed. The galaxy grew darker with each passing year, until only a few scattered human colonies remained. But humanity was different. They had built something the others couldn't understand, a network of trust and mutual aid that spanned the stars. When the Devourers finally reached human space, they didn't find isolated worlds fighting alone. They found a civilization that had spent centuries learning to work together, to sacrifice for others, to never abandon those in need. The Battle of New Geneva lasted 3 years. Human fleets fought with desperate courage, but what truly made the difference was what happened behind the lines. Refugees from a dozen extinct species fought alongside human soldiers. The Kethvor survivors used their tunneling expertise to create impregnable fortress worlds, The remaining Nexari provided computational power for the war effort. Former Vorthak warriors, humbled by their losses, served as advisors on combat tactics. Every species that humanity had helped, every individual they had saved, every alliance they had forged through compassion rather than strength, all of it came together in humanity's darkest hour. Dr. Elena Vasquez made the breakthrough on Luna Station, surrounded by researchers from 6 different extinct civilizations. The weapon they developed didn't just destroy the Devourers, it severed them from whatever dark dimension they had emerged from, ensuring they could never return. When the war ended, Commander Chen found herself in the position she held now, the sole representative of the only major species to survive the Devourer War intact. The memorial wall displayed them all, proud species that had valued strength over compassion, efficiency over empathy, logic over love. They were gone, reduced to historical footnotes, while humanity, weak, caring, foolish humanity, inherited the galaxy. Chen turned away from the wall and walked toward the council chambers. Today, she would address the newly formed alliance of survivor species, a coalition built on human principles of mutual aid and cooperation. The few remaining beings from extinct civilizations, the minor species that had been ignored by the old powers and humanity, would work together to rebuild. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. Those who called caring a weakness had forgotten that it was also the foundation of true strength. In the end, only those willing to die for others had found something worth living for, and they were still here. No,